I'm at the bank with the teller and I'm depositing some checks. One of the checks wasn't working in the ATM. That's why I had to go to the teller. And I hand her the checks and she looks at one of them and she says, I'm going to need to get a signature for this one because it's a high amount. And then she looks at me and says, do you normally get checks of this size? And I said, yes. And actually, I usually get checks of a larger size because I'm open to receive it all. And she kind of looked at me, smiled, and was like, okay, lady, I'm just going to go get that signature. I don't know if she knew what to make of that exchange, but it actually had me thinking. There was something that I remembered that really made a difference of why I can now receive checks of that size. Do you want to know what it is? Welcome to Possibilities with me, Hina Khan. I am a peak performance coach and I help my clients create a life they love without the hustle, the grind, and the struggle. We do it all through ease, joy, and fun. So I realized from that whole exchange with the teller that there was a time when I was not ready to receive what felt like a large sum of money at once. I was available for the total if it was spread out, let's say over weeks, over months, and in some cases, maybe over a year. But to have it at once, oh, no, 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 no. That would feel overwhelming. That would have actually felt super uncomfortable. And I know you might be thinking, oh, really? Uncomfortable for you? Pass it over here. Sign it over to me. I'll deposit it. Not so fast. Think about it. You see, I didn't have the self-image that was a match to receive that, which is why I never received it at that time. So somebody could hand you that check. You might take a long time depositing it, if you do at all, or you may squander it as soon as you get it because you don't feel you're worthy of it and you don't have a self-image that matches it. So it could land in my bank account maybe somehow, but I would actually still repel it because of how I felt about myself. Wild, wild. When it comes to money, as in everything, we have a financial set point. Do you want to know what your financial set point is? I can tell you. I can tell you how to figure it out right now. Simply think for the last few years how much you've made every year. What have you made on average? Where have you landed? That is your set point. And similar to the thermostat in your home, it will come back to that set point if it goes above or below. You'll still even out at that place. So in the case of the thermostat that you set that thermostat. But when it comes to your financial set point, that would have been set by others. I know. Even as I say this, I'm like, this is mind-blowing. It really is. So think about it. What you're available for to receive and have financially has been set by others, by your primary caregivers, to your social circle, to beliefs held in certain careers, like my team here. They do a lot of film as well, and they may be buying into the starving artist. Oh, you're a sellout if you're going to charge that much for what you do. Although I've seen their invoices. They're fine. Nick almost spit out his coffee there. But this also means that you, like myself, were probably unconscious that you even have a financial set point. Maybe some of you are hearing this thought for the first time, right? Until you stumbled across information like this. I didn't know I had a set point until I started studying this material. So your financial set point is also indicative of what you are comfortable receiving and having. Hence why at one point, I would not have been comfortable receiving the sums that I now receive and that are ever increasing. I wouldn't have been comfortable with it. And you may be wondering what changed. Me. I changed. It wasn't the economy, wasn't interest rates, or my profession. It was me, my value, my worth. I grew and it grew. You see, you can never outperform your self-image. I often talk about making your annual income your monthly income. That is all about your inner game, because you can't change the outside before you do the work on the inside. You will always end up landing at your set point. My favorite example of this, I've got many, many client examples, but I love this example from Maxwell Maltz. I've got the book here, Psycho-Cybernetics. This is a fantastic book. Although, you know what? I was with one of my good friends the other day, Kathleen Cameron, and she said that she does not like this book. I said, okay, but I'm surprised. Sometimes also, just a side note here, there are books that I've received that I haven't enjoyed, but then years later, I will enjoy it. So there's something that changes within me. So this is called The Case of the Salesman. Elmer Wheeler had been called in as a sales consultant to a certain firm. The sales manager called his attention to a very remarkable case. A certain salesman was always managed to make almost exactly $5,000 a year. Okay, this book was written a while ago, a long time ago. Regardless of the territory they assigned to him or the commission he was paid. Because the salesman had done well in a rather small territory, he had been given a larger and much better one. But the next year, his commission amounted to almost the same amount as he had made in the smaller one. Can you guess what that is? $5,000. The following year, the company increased the commission paid. So now the commission's being increased, but this salesman still managed to make only $5,000. You got it. He was then assigned one of the company's poorest territories and again made the usual, $5,000. Wheeler had a talk with this salesman and found out that the trouble was not in the territory, but in this person's own valuation of himself, self-image. He thought of himself as a $5,000 per year man. And as long as he held that concept of himself, outside conditions didn't seem to matter much. When he was assigned a poor territory, he worked hard to make the $5,000. When he was assigned a good territory, he found all sorts of excuses to coast when the $5,000 was in sight. Once, when the goal had been reached, he got sick and was unable to work anymore that year, although doctors could find nothing wrong with him, and he miraculously recovered by the first of the year. What was his financial set point? It was set at $5,000. Didn't matter the territory, didn't matter the amount of the commission that was paid. It was still going to land at $5,000. So this must be making you think about your own situation. Perhaps right now, you're thinking about it in your current situation or a past situation. So let me ask you something. Would you like to change your set point? If the answer is yes, here is one thing that you can do right now. You can even pause this and grab a piece of paper, a pen, or pull up notes in your phone. Here's what I want you to do. You all set? Think of how much you would like to make. Let's say it's $20,000 a month. You'd like to make $20,000 a month. Now think about that money coming in consistently. What would your life be like? What would change? Maybe you would travel 3 times a year or 4 times a year. Maybe you would do some renovations in your place, or perhaps you would move. Maybe you would be driving a different car. Maybe you would be signing up for courses. You'd be opening up new accounts. You would be perhaps putting some away. So actually sit there and write down what your life would look like if you were generating that amount. Okay, here's the next part. Well, first of all, I want to know, did that feel good? I think it feels so good. I love doing this. I always do this. It's so good to feel your life from that perspective. Now, I want you to think about who you would be. Who would you be? What would your thoughts and feelings of this version of you look like? Some examples could be that you expect money to be deposited into your bank account every day. Your work is of high value. That might be a thought that you have. Your work is of high value and you value your time. You may feel confident. You live in gratitude. You love having experiences. You love receiving money. You believe that your supply is infinite, and the more you have, the more others benefit. These are probably similar to some of the feelings that you would have. And then if we can just go back to a moment to what I had said before about what your life would look like day to day. And this is something that struck me. So I was on TikTok and I saw this person talk about a facial place in Toronto where I live. It's a sculpting facial. It's lymphatic, it's drainage. It sounded really good. And I was like, oh, let me see. I'm going to go to that. I'm going to want to go to that place. So I then, go to their TikTok account, find their phone number, and I phone them. And they're like, yeah, we can get you in today. So I'm like, okay, perfect. I can come today. Oh my gosh. First of all, like no barrier to buy on TikTok for me, apparently. Next thing I know, I'm going to this place. It's called The Talks. Let me tell you, the aesthetic is like the crew here. It was all black. Just like the crew is all dressed in black, that was the aesthetic. I couldn't even tell, and it was very dark. I couldn't tell where to put my things. I thought I'd maybe dump them in a garbage can. It turned out I didn't. Anyways, I digress. And then I left. I did the facial. It was very good. But here's my point. There was a time when with my set point, I would have first had to find out how much did the facial cost? What about parking? There would have been all of these other questions. But for me, I just knew I wanted to do it. I didn't even know how much it cost until I left. So I say this to you because when you're thinking about what your day-to-day life is like, or when you think about how you would make decisions, something like this might be the way that you would make a decision if you were earning a certain amount. So I just offer you that. Okay. So now the idea is that that person that you've described, what their day-to-day life is like, and their thoughts and feelings, what they think, what they believe, how they feel, this is who you want to step into. Be this person now. And you create this person every day until you don't need to. I often say the breakthrough is the beginning, because it's after the breakthrough, whatever breakthrough you've had, that you want to make that your normal. So see the world through this lens, emotionalize it. And then I promise you, with 100% certainty, the outer world will change to match your inner world. Only always, it is law. And this is how you will begin to change your financial set point. This is exactly what I did. And this is exactly what my clients do. And my clients have made their annual income their monthly income. So are you going to do it? Let me know if you're going to do it, and then let me know how it goes. And as always, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, download, do all of the things. And I can't wait to find out how this exercise went for you. Okay, bye for now.